And now we're in the middle of the Big Ten. Craig Smoak, Minnesota.
Yeah, talking Golden Gophers as we just roll along here, and this is just something different to shake it up and talk about just some teams that we might not otherwise talk very much about, and to kind of give them their own little segment, just sort of riffing on who they play this year and maybe a little bit about the team itself. But this isn't some scientific breakdown or big prediction thing. It's just let's talk about Minnesota for 15 minutes. So here we are, and PJ Fleck, man, he's been at Minnesota for a long time now. He's nearing a decade at Minnesota, which is kind of crazy to think about, but it was just feels like yesterday. He was that guy at Western Michigan that was kind of young and rebellious and rubbed some people the wrong way, still does. But yeah, now here he is, and he is heading into season 9 as head coach of the Golden Gophers. They've won 4 straight bowl games. They went 8-5 a year ago, which was a 2-game improvement on their 6-7 in 2023. So 8-5 in a very crowded Big Ten is where we last saw the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and a program that it definitely gets lost in the shuffle, but like I said, that's what the segment like this is for. So their season did end in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, and PJ Fleck not having to take the tub of mayonnaise. So who was the real winner in the Duke's Mayo Bowl if you didn't have to take the tub of mayonnaise? It's because the winner takes the tub of mayonnaise, right?
Yeah.
So, or no, they did win, so he did have to take it. Sorry, I was thinking I was under the impression
right over
that they
his
lost.
Bald head, just slithered right off his bald head.
So PJ Fleck did have to take the tub of mayonnaise. My apologies there. I was looking at the red line a couple rows above that. So they ended on a 24-10 win over Virginia Tech. PJ Fleck got the mayonnaise, and that's where we last saw them. So in terms of what's in store for this year for Minnesota, they get started on a Thursday. So some schools that we talk about, they have no Thursday games, no Friday games. Some teams have both. In the case of Minnesota, they have all Saturdays with the exception of this very first game out of the gates, and that is at home on August the 28th against the Buffalo Bulls. So that is how things kickstart for the Golden Gophers. Then the following week, have a couple extra days to prepare since you played on a Thursday to open things up, and you get Northwestern State coming up from Louisiana to take you on at Huntington Bank Stadium. So first 2 games at home, 2 games that you basically are paying to win and expect to win. And then you get into week 3, Saturday, September the 13th, your first road trip in a little Big Ten versus ACC action as you close out this portion of the schedule, this first 3 weeks with the Cal Golden Bears out in Berkeley on September the 13th. And then the following week, you have your first of 2 open weeks. So actually a pretty clean schedule here for Minnesota, where they play their non-con, they take a break, and then they get into conference play. There's none of this like, here's a rando-ass non-con game in week 12 or random conference game in week 1 like Iowa State and Kansas State. No, pretty clean and simple, and one of the simpler schedules I've seen, I feel like, throughout this entire process. So, yeah, there's their first 3. Buffalo, Northwestern State, both those at home, and then they go to Cal before taking a little bit of a break before Big Ten play.
I read something about Cal today, and that they, like, Justin Wilcox, really good coach, but they've had so much roster flux, it's going to be tough. This is a really good shot for them to be 3-0 rolling out of the gate here, and obviously no worse than 2-1.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely should be the expectation, 3-0. Although we'll see when they head off to Berkeley if that gets a little bit squirrely. Then they return after the first bye week, and they get Rutgers to open up Big Ten play. That will also be in Minneapolis. So 3 of their first 4 games at home. And then it is a big road trip to Columbus for a meeting with the Ohio State Buckeyes on Saturday, October 4th. Go back home for 2 consecutive games as they will host Purdue on October the 11th.
Lily was falling 10 times a day, covered in bruises. She would run just straight into a pole, right? It was a disaster. She would fall down the stairs all the time. She just could not navigate her environment. 8 weeks after starting functional mushrooms, she was assessed developmental age for physical therapy and no longer required that service.
Thanks for joining us today. That's a wrap.
Peace, love, and mushrooms.
Peace, love, and mushrooms. Rashad, you got me.
GetUmbo.com.
All right.
Which will be their homecoming game. And then Nebraska on October the 18th. don't get a break. There is a fat middle section here of the schedule. They continue on October the 25th. They go to Kinnick Stadium there in Iowa City for a meeting with Kirk Ferentz and the Hawkeyes. And then Saturday, November 1st, back at home to take on Michigan State. So in this middle section, it's 6 games. So they have a 3-6-3 schedule here. And so, yeah, big meaty part in the middle of all Big Ten action. Rutgers, Purdue, Nebraska, and Michigan State all at home, and trips sandwiched in between to Columbus and Iowa City.
I got to tell you, I think this is a really sets them up to have maybe more than just that middle of the pack, this schedule they have. I like it. I think this could be a really an opportunity for Minnesota to maybe get in that 9-win range before it's said and done.
Well, the only 2 teams I say, like, I'll count it up as a loss right now, and I'm just saying that off the cuff, is Ohio State and Iowa, both at those sites. Beyond that, like, can they beat Purdue? Yeah, of course.
Beat everybody
Rutgers,
else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nebraska, yep. Michigan State.
Yep.
I mean, they probably will be better, but we don't know to what degree. So is that winnable? Yep. So, yeah, I think there's a real possibility with a lot of question marks about Cal that you can say, I feel like we could be like, what's that? How many games is that? 6, that's 9. I feel like they'd be like 7-2 is very reasonable and maybe even better than that.
Yeah,
if you can like beat Iowa.
I agree. There's 3 games and we're not done, but there's 2 games right now that you probably say, okay, Ohio State, Oregon, all the other ones, they're very more than capable of winning.
So after Michigan State and that big stretch in the middle, back to the bye week, their second and final, and then they return for a 3-game stretch. It'll be the Oregon Ducks in Eugene, then at Northwestern, so back-to-back road games there, and then back at home on Saturday, November the 29th, to host Luke Fickell and the Wisconsin Badgers, which who knows where he is in the big picture of the coaching carousel and hot seats and all of that. A very important year for Luke Fickell, and so maybe that game has some even higher stakes. Maybe Minnesota's or Wisconsin's playing for a spot in the Big Ten title game. We don't know, but that's how it will close out: at Oregon, at Northwestern, and then Wisconsin there on Saturday, November the 29th.
That's a 9-3. We don't know about Wisconsin, Nebraska. I think that sets you up to be reasonable to think they could go 9-3.
9-3 ceiling, 7-5 floor. I'm happy with that. If
that guy can coach. He's a good coach. They're not gonna beat themselves very often.
Pierre Nugent, who does his pregame coaching show, does triple option stuff with me, and I asked him. I said, "Did you kind of walk in like this guy's a walking cat poster and all that stuff?" He said, "Yeah, but he kind of backs it up." So I'll have to give somebody who knows him the credit. But the row the butt stuff when there was
row the boat.
I said, did I say rub the boat?
You said something.
I think you said rub the butt.
Rub the butt or something.
I think he said rub the butt. Yeah.
Well, whatever he says. He may say that too. I don't know. But row the boat stuff, I didn't like. I don't like that stuff. I don't like coaches that speak in cliches, which is, I don't like when.
So you hate all coaches.
I don't like when coaches speak in cliches, not coaches. They do. But, it was annoying. And I was really worried that when Baylor was going to hire him, I knew it. And I was going to have to go to all these press conferences.
I don't even know if they interviewed him.
No, but I knew it. I knew that I was going to sit in all these press conferences with somebody I abjectly hated.
That would have been Matt Rule, right? That they hired instead. Yeah. And I don't know how PJ, I don't know that he could have come down. He could have done the row the boat thing or in your case, rub the butt thing.
Yeah.
But no, the row the boat thing with the Brazos River right there, I suppose. But he doesn't strike me as a Texas guy or anything that would have really fit in all that well. So I think that was best for all parties. And I don't know how realistic that even was, but yeah, he's a good coach. There's no denying that. And, he has ripped off a couple of 9-win seasons here in the last 5 years. At Minnesota, 5, 7, 11 wins in 19, 3-20, which that was COVID, 9, 9, 6. And then 8-5 last year. So
they're stabilized.
They're definitely stable, and
maybe
like
it's
Minnesota
time to has this huge history in the last 20 years. Go ahead.
Maybe it's time to ramp back up to the what?
No, go ahead. Maybe
it's time to ramp back up to the double digits, but he's he's a good coach. So whatever you're
They
gonna say.
they rarely beat themselves. It's not like they have a great history. Yeah, they do back when they won national titles years and years and years ago. I like what he's done. I know this. They seem like they're going to always be in that 6-6 and better. They're going to be a bowl team most every year. So I think that's a 9-3, as you mentioned, Paul, with the 3 games: Ohio State, Oregon, and maybe Iowa. And if anybody jumps up, then maybe it's a 7-5.
Yeah, I mean, like Nebraska could make them 8-4. You know, like those things. Those are the toss-up games. Michigan State toss-up games.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, yeah.
But then again, that's the entire Big 12. There's a big group of about 8 or 9, 10 teams that you don't know if they're going to be 5-7 or 7-5 as far as in the regular season.
Yeah, so they don't play UCLA. They don't play Michigan. They don't play Indiana. They don't play USC. Those are just some of the teams that they do miss out on in the Big Ten schedule. So take that into account. I guess they don't play Penn State either. I have to add them on there. So they do. I mean, everybody's going to miss some of the better teams. Nobody plays Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, and then Iowa. Or, like you're going to have to miss somebody with the giant conferences we have now. So they do miss some pretty good teams. Washington, they miss as well. So we'll see whether or not that works out in their favor. But there you go. There is the schedule for PJ Fleck in Minnesota.
Their non-conference games are Buffalo, Northwestern, which is Natchitoches, Louisiana, and Cal. That's not. I'm not going to say weak. That's not fair because we don't know about Cal, but that seems to be one of the weaker ones we've seen since we started doing this. It seems like about a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
They played Northwestern twice. The Demon Deacons, and I don't know if they're allowed to be called that anymore. And then Northwestern, of course, out of Illinois.
Well, they were never the Demon Deacons because that was Wake Forest.
No, what are they? The Demons. No, Natchitoches, Louisiana, Northwestern Demons. Yeah, I still think.
Listen, they're demons. They didn't get ordained.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's not a private school. They and SFA fight over a 10-foot wooden Indian. Craig, anything else?
No, like I said, there's the schedule for Minnesota
next?
and